I'm ready.
Senator Friends.
Senator Dietzig.
Senator Dietzig, maybe?
Who?
Senator Dietzig?
Oh, Senator Dietzig.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Wonderful. Senator Dietzig.
Senator Friends was talking. Mr. President, I move that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and the Sergeant-at-Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
On that motion, any discussion? All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, will you be so kind as to stand? Today's chaplain is Pastor Brian King from Chisago Lake Lutheran Church in Center City, Minnesota. After the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we ask for your presence to be in this chamber with these public servants and in all the halls of government in this state and in this nation today. As our Minnesota farmers are now engaged in spring planting, driven by the hope of a bountiful harvest, may the seeds sown here today in our words and in our actions, the seeds of every conversation and deliberation, every debate and decision, every legislative and civic action taken today, may they serve to honor your heart for the safety, well-being, inclusion, and abundant life of all people, especially our most vulnerable neighbors, neighborhoods, and communities. On this day, may this chamber be a place where, in the words of the prophet Amos, justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Where, in the words of the prophet Micah, each person here today seeks to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly before you. And where, in a world too often torn asunder by hatred, enmity, strife, and division, the vision of the prophet Isaiah is realized through the words and actions of these state senators, that they may raise up the foundations of many generations, that they may be called the repairers of the breach and the restorers of streets to dwell in. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, members. The secretary will take the roll.
Abler, Anderson, Barr, Bolden, Carlson, Champion, Coleman, Swadzinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Drazkowski, Duckworth, Dietzig, Eichhorn, Farnsworth, Fateh, Frentz, Green, Grunhagen, Gustafson, Hochschild, Herr, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Jasinski, Johnson, Klein, Coran, Kroon, Kunish, Kupek, Lang, Latz, Liskey, Limmer, Lucero, Mann, Marty, Matthews, May Quaid, McEwen, Miller, Mitchell, Mohammed, Morrison, Murphy, Nelson, Umuver Baton, Pappas, Pa, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rasmussen, Rest, Seeberger, Utke, Weber, Wiesenberg, Westland, Westrom, Wickland, Zhang.
Members, pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members will vote pursuant to Rule 40.7. Draheim, Howell, and Lang. Members, a quorum is present. Members, as usual, if you want to follow along, I'm looking at the Senate agenda dated Thursday, May 4th, 2023. We will start with the third order of business. The Secretary will read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House refuses to concur in the Senate amendments to House File Number 1938. House File Number 1938, a bill for an act relating to financing and operation of state and local government, modifying provisions governing individual income and corporate franchise taxes, etc. The House respectfully requests that a conference committee of 5 members be appointed thereon. Gomez, Lislegard, Lee, Kay, Agbaje, and Davids have been appointed as such committee on the part of the House. House File Number 1938 is herewith transmitted to the Senate with a request that the Senate appoint a like committee. Signed, Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Rest, to your motion. Senator Rest, for your motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate accede to the request of the House for a conference committee on House File 1938, and that a conference committee of 5 members be appointed by the subcommittee on conference committee on the part of the Senate to act with a like conference committee appointed on the part of the House.
Member Senator Rest moved that the Senate accede to the request of the House for a conference committee on House File number 1938, and that a conference committee of 5 members be appointed by the subcommittee on conference committees on the part of the Senate to act with a like conference committee appointed on the part of the House. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we will now proceed to the 5th order of business. Senator Disick for a motion to adopt committee reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee reports printed in the agenda and in the addendum be adopted, with the exception of the reports pertaining to Joint Rule 2.03 and the report pertaining to appointments.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Disick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee reports pertaining to the appointments be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we'll now proceed to the 7th order of business. The Secretary will read the House file numbers.
House File Number 2.
The House file has been given its second reading. Proceeding now to the 8th order of business, introduction and first reading of Senate bills. Members, the bills listed on today's introduction calendar are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Moving to the 9th order of business, motions and resolutions. We will adopt the author's motion as one motion. All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Pappas for your motions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that House File 670, numbered 96 on general orders, be stricken and re-referred to the Committee on Finance, and I'd like a roll call vote.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Senator Pappas, I just want to be clear, was this for House File 669?
Mr. President, it's House File 670.
Okay, thank you so very much. Hold on 1 second. Thank you. Senator Pappas moved that House File 670, number 96 on general orders, be stricken and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say oh, roll call requested, roll call granted. The Secretary will take the roll. Members, please vote. Senator Rasmussen, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Howe votes aye.
Senator Howe votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lang votes aye.
And Senator Lang votes aye. Anyone else going to vote? All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There have been 59 ayes and 0 noes. The motion prevails. Senator Disick, Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that House File 669 be taken from the table, and I request a roll call vote.
On that motion, Senator Pappas moves that House File number 669 be taken from the table. Roll call requested, roll call granted. The Secretary will take the roll. Members, please vote. Let's move. Senator Rasmussen, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Howell votes aye.
Senator Howell votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lang votes aye.
And Senator Lang votes aye. Members, please vote. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 57 ayes and 0 noes, the motion to take the bill from the table prevails. Senator Pappas.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. As much as I'd like to take this to a vote, I'm moving that Senate File 669 be re-referred to the Committee on Finance.
On that motion.
I'd like a roll call, please.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Any discussion? Seeing none, the secretary will take the roll. Members, please vote. Senator Rasmussen, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Howell votes aye.
Senator Howell votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lang votes aye.
And Senator Lang votes aye. All senators having voted who... No problem. It's okay. All senators having voted who desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 59 ayes and 0 noes, the motion to re-refer is up. The motion to re-refer prevails. Now, members, we have several other motions, and I'm going to go through them individually. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Agriculture, Broadband, and Rural Development and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Putnam moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Agriculture, Broadband, and Rural Development and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported on the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion? Seeing none, on that motion, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Swazinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Education Policy and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Swazinski moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Education Policy and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Herr.
Mr. President, I move that the appointments withdraw from the Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Herr moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Environment, Climate, and Legacy and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion? Seeing none. Senator Jaskowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted to go back to the committee. We will take the roll. Members, please vote. Senator Rasmussen, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye,
Senator Draheim votes aye,
and Senator Lang votes aye.
and Senator Lang votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There have been 53 ayes and 6 noes. The motion prevails. Members, we now go to Senator Wickland.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Health and Human Services and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Wickland moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Health and Human Services and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Fate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Higher Education and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Fate moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Higher Education and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Housing and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Port moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Housing and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Latz.
Mr. President, I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Latz moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Labor and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator McEwen moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Labor and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on State and Local Government and Veterans and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Murphy moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on State and Local Governments and Veterans and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Disick for Senator Champion.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator Champion, I move that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the Journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were withdrawn.
Senator Disick, on behalf of Senator Champion, moved that the appointments withdrawn from the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development and placed on the confirmation calendar under Senate Rule 8.2, reported in the journal for May 3rd, 2023, be returned to the committee from which they were returned. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Dezig to designate special orders.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bill be made on special orders for immediate consideration. Members, it's on your desk. It is House File 717, General Orders Number 13, a Senator Coleman bill.
Thank you, Senator Dezig. Before the body, yes, you have a list of your special orders on your desk. We will start with General Orders Number 13, which is House File 717. Senator Coleman for Chanhassen Trunk Highway Number 5, segment designated as Prince Roger Nelson Memorial Highway. To that bill, Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. To get started, I move that the amendment made to House File number 717 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted April 25th, 2023, pursuant to Rule 45, be stricken. Members, we are doing this because the House language reflects the final agreement between MnDOT and the interested parties pursuing this highway as far as designation locations, and so we want to keep everything streamlined here.
Senator Coleman moved that the amendment made to House File number 717 by the Committee on Rules and Administration in the report adopted April 25th, 2023, pursuant to Rule 45, be stricken. On that motion, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The motion prevails. Senator Coleman.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Members, or I suppose dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called the 2023 legislative session. It is with both sadness and celebration that we are here today to dedicate a stretch of highway to the one and only Prince Rogers Nelson. Though we lost him far too soon, his music and his legacy will live on forever. As we remember Prince today, it's hard not to feel a sense of sadness at the thought of all the music and art left unfinished. But let's not dwell on what could have been. Instead, let's celebrate what he did accomplish in his all too brief time on earth with us. Prince was a true genius, a visionary artist who pushed the boundaries of music and cultures in ways that will never be forgotten. His influence can be heard in the works of countless musicians who came after him, and his legacy continues to inspire new generations of artists to this day. He made sure to contribute selflessly, even down to his local community. His legacy of preserving and protecting nature and of being a good neighbor lives on in Chanhassen. His absence in that community is notable. That's why the community he called home wants to memorialize him through a 7th stretch of highway called the Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway. I think it's worth noting that this funding comes from his friends and fans of Prince and costs the taxpayer nothing. The journey to get the sign to where it is today started a long time ago for me when I served on the Chanhassen City Council before I ever served in the legislature. At the end of the presentation, we were asked if we could make that sign be purple, and I decided then and there that I wouldn't settle for anything less. In the words of Senator Dibble, who I cannot thank enough for helping me to get the bill to this point today, it really couldn't be any other color, now could it? Members, you'll notice passing this bill with the sign being purple is a deviation from standard practices, but as Prince said in his song Uptown, now where I come from, we don't let society tell us how it's supposed to be. I also want to thank my co-authors, Senators Champion, Herr, Hoffman, and Swedinski, as well as former Representative Greg Bowe for starting this process, and Representative Lucy Ream for getting it across the finish line in the House. Members, I'd say vote purple, but our button options are red and green, so I implore a green vote today to memorialize a Minnesota legend. But before I forget, Mr. President, if you'd indulge me for just a brief moment, I'd like to ask Senator Hoffman if he'd yield for a question.
Senator Hoffman, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Coleman.
Senator Hoffman, it's my understanding that these Capitol halls have been riddled with rumors for years that a member of this body may or may not have had a connection to Prince. Could you confirm that for me?
Senator Hoffman,
Mr. President, and to the good senator from Chanhassen, I could go on and tell a great story of a myth that started back in the days when I was head of the drum shop at Torp's Music Center. And Torp's Music Center in the 80s and 90s was the premier place for PRM Productions to come get their stuff. Every musician that had anything to do with this wonderful, beloved Minnesota icon named Prince used to come to that store. Right on Rice Street is where it was, Mr. President. And you know, for the longest time, to the good senator's point from Chanhassen, there was a story that you never said no to Prince. And yet, if Prince wanted something, he specifically knew what he wanted. Let me give you one example, Mr. President, if you would let me indulge that. It's not what you think. Prince was a Yamaha-endorsed drummer. This man was the wonderful musician who was he could play every instrument that was there. And one was he was a drummer. Believe it or not, he was endorsed. And once you become endorsed by a certain drum company, then you became an A drummer. That meant if you needed something, you would just show up at the music store that you chose and you would just say, I need this. Well, he never came in, but he would send people in. And the I need this means I would have to fill out a piece of paper and I would send it into, in this case, Yamaha, and they would not only they would give you back the product that you had to give that person because they were endorsed. I mean, to be an A-class or an A-endorsed musician means you're at the top of your game, right? One moment, the drum tech came in and it had a Yamaha bass pedal in the box, Mr. President, and Prince said this, told the drum tech, I need a new pedal, right? Well, the pedal was brand new, and so what they didn't do, the drum tech, he didn't release the springs that were in the pedal, Mr. President. And so all I did was I released the springs, gave it back to the drum tech and said, here, this brand new pedal is good to go for Prince. And he said, thank you, and he left. Well, the manager of the PRM Productions came up to me afterwards and said, you just got that guy fired. And I said, how did I get that guy fired? And of course, Mr. President, he said, because Prince said, and I quote, I want a new pedal. So with that, there was also a myth at the time, back in the 80s and in the 90s, of a certain musician that had a certain band that this person was the director of, the orchestral director of. And there was a certain gig that was happening maybe in Wembley Stadium or something, some other place in the world. And the myth was always that this senator, oh wait, I just gave it away, senator. This certain individual might have done what no other musician would ever think of doing to Prince, was to just say no and hang up on him. Now, I don't confirm or deny that myth at this time to the good senator from Chanhassen, but I do have another story that I could tell if the senator would like to hear, but I cannot confirm or deny that question. I don't know, maybe we could resolve that by somebody who's in this chamber.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Hoffman yield for one more question?
Senator Hoffman, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Senator Hoffman, you can neither confirm nor deny whether somebody who may have served or is serving as the Senate President did hang up on Prince Rogers Nelson.
Mr. President?
I'm not going to let him speak. Senator Hoffman. Senator Hoffman.
Mr. President, and to that point, you know, I can neither deny or confirm that might have, could have happened. But the myth was, to the good senator, but there was also something that if I could divulge one more time, if the senator from Chanhassen would let me tell one more story.
Senator Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. President. So there was this radio station, WLOL, top of the IDS, 99.5, right? And that's how the guy would say it, if you really want to hear those words. It wasn't my voice that did it, but my wife was Kelly Fox from WLOL, 99.5. And that was Heinz Berglund, Eleanor Mondale. There was this whole group, and they did their picture in front of the original graffiti bridge that Prince, of course, it was in his backyard in the beautiful town of Chanhassen / actually it was in Eden Prairie, but we won't tell the good senator from Chanhassen where that bridge really was. But there was this person, Prince, was a good neighbor who cared about Minnesota to the point where before he would release his music that was released to the rest of the world, he would give WLOL a copy of that music, Mr. President. I don't know if you knew this, but then for him to say, here, it wasn't him, but his staff. Of course, he was the one saying it because nobody said no to Prince, right, Mr. President? And so the thing with that was the music would show up at WLOL before it got released to the rest of the world, and they actually put newspaper on their studio glass windows so they couldn't see anybody coming in with cease and desist letters because the lawyers were all lined up, because Prince didn't care about the overall structure of people that were trying to drive him. What he cared about was the fact that the people he loved dearly was Minnesota, and his music would get played first here at the great WLOL 99.5. So with that, Mr. President and the good senator from Chanhassen, I will not divulge any more information I know whether or not, but there is a myth out there, Mr. President, and you know this myth, I think, maybe. You might have heard the story, and I will not tell any more because I just don't want to get in trouble with a certain senator in this body.
Senator Coleman. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't suspect I'll ever be getting a ruling in my favor again, but I appreciate the indulgence. Members, I'd say let's party like it's 1999, but I was 7 at the time, so that doesn't sound nearly as fun as saying, members, let's go crazy and make this beautiful purple memorial to a Minnesota legend a reality. Vote green.
Senator Swedzinski.
Thanks for your humor today, Senator Coleman. Much appreciated. I just want to thank Senator Coleman for bringing this bill forward, and I'm honored to be a co-author. Senator Hoffman almost got me jumped out of my chair when he said graffiti bridge in Chanhassen, but he did correct himself and say it was in Eden Prairie, I might add, where graffiti bridge was located. Not far from there, when you do decide to drive on the Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway, you will be starting going through Eden Prairie when you drive on that. And I just, I know today we're probably all thinking back to when we first heard of Prince and where we were when we first heard a Prince song. And for me, I was on one of my first dates with my girlfriend, and we were at this place on Lake Street. I have no idea where we were. It was 2 or 3 in the morning. And we were in this, it was a coffee shop, okay, with all, it was a restaurant on Lake and Hennepin at the time. But the booths used to have those, each booth had its individual jukebox. You know, those places, and the jukeboxes were about that big. And she said, listen to this. And she put her dime into the jukebox, and on came 1999, and I was hooked. Ever since. So anyways, Senator Dibble, I hope we can, I've already talked to you about this, but today's Prince Day. Next stop, Dillon, Highway 61. Thank you, members.
Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'm wondering if the chief author would yield for a question.
Will you yield? Senator Coleman, she will yield. Senator Lucero.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Coleman. I know that this piece of legislation has been in the works for several years, so this is certainly an important day for you. I am wondering, can you tell me what day today is?
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lucero, today is May the 4th.
Senator Lucero.
Mr. President, May the 4th be with you.
Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Coleman, for this bill. Thank you for insisting the sign be purple and overcoming the mighty and forceful objections of our Department of Transportation. They did object, but we prevailed upon them to see the purple, Mr. President. But we do remember Prince and continue to remember him, all the joy that he brings to us whenever we hear his music. Today, we know that he was an absolute genius, heavily influenced by the likes of Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Sly and the Family Stone, and Jimi Hendrix, and Joni Mitchell, and so many others, and leaves an incredible legacy. Of course, incredible careers with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and Sheila E., and The Time, and Apollonia, and now, of course, Lizzo is one of his great legacies, someone of whom we're very, very proud. And so I'm excited to drive out in your neck of the woods and see this great sign memorializing Prince and all the contributions he made, sparked the Minneapolis sound, and so we're really, really proud of that. And I'll just conclude by saying, Senator Coleman, we never mean to cause you any sorrow. We never mean to cause you any pain. We only want to see you laughing and celebrating with this purple sign. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Aaron McQuaid.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Senator Coleman. I want to thank you for this bill. Mr. President, I don't talk about this a lot, but Prince was a member of our family. My uncle was his drummer, his choreographer. He's godfather to my cousins. And so growing up, he was just a really quiet, short dude that was there at every birthday party, at every cookout. And my cousins would put on his shoes that were sometimes like high heels. And they'd shuffle around the house. And his loss, his death was devastating for our family. But he was kind and caring. He was funny. And I didn't know for a lot of my life that he was famous. He was just a guy who wore really fun clothes. He had a purple PlayStation, like it was the coolest thing to a young kid. And they all wore diamond necklaces. But Prince was an icon just in our family. Like who he was a heart and soul for so many people. And so I'm really, really grateful that we will honor him in this way, that our state will honor him in this way, because the impact that he had on us through his music, which was remarkable. He used to drum in the basement with my uncle, and they would just like jam out, and it was incredible, like his musical talent. And the fact that the world got to experience that, the fact that Minnesota gets to claim him as our own, he never wanted to leave because the cold kept the bad people out, is amazing. And so I'm very grateful to Senator Coleman for bringing this bill. I'm so grateful that we get to do this and honor his legacy and memory. Thank you.
Senator Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is a wonderful honor to Prince. I think it's also an opportunity for us to think about other ways that we can honor his legacy. He was self-taught in piano and guitar and drums, and just the ability to bring the arts to our children, I think, is so important so we can raise the next level or the next generation of musical geniuses. And there was so much that came out after his death about the work that he had done. The fact that he had converted and was a Jehovah's Witness reminds us that we represent people from all different backgrounds in our community, and everyone contributes in their own special way, and that we should honor everyone of every religion. And as part of that, he was very humble about some of the great works he was doing, even outside of his contribution of music. Just to name a couple that he never bragged about during his life, and we found out after his death, he helped found Yes We Code after Trayvon Martin's death to help underprivileged youth have more opportunities to contribute to our community and learn skills they might not have otherwise. And he was huge in environmental advocacy, including helping with Green for All, which is green energy and social justice, green jobs for underprivileged populations, and supporting climate change. So I hope that we remember his legacy in so many ways of wanting to serve our community, not just in this name change today, but in all our legislative work, carrying forward the things that were important to him. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 717, a bill for an act relating to transportation, designating a segment of Mark Trunk Highway 5 in Chanhassen as Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway.
Third reading. Any other last words? We will go to the author, and then I'll have some instructions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I have loved hearing your stories and connections to the one and only Prince Rogers Nelson. If any of you would like to be kept up to date on when the sign is going to be unveiled, I know you do, Mr. President, shoot me an email and we'll make sure when we have those details that you will get an invite to attend the unveiling. We do have friends and fans of Prince up in the gallery today who have been putting in work on this and making it a reality for years, Mr. President. And we will be grabbing a photo with a cutout of the sign outside the chamber. So if you're rocking purple today or you're a fan, please meet us directly outside the chamber after session to grab a photo with them and the sign.
Members, as I always instruct us on days like this when something is happening, something that folks are excited about, that I remind them that we cannot have any applause during a session. So we ask you to not applaud or scream or do all those other wonderful things, but you can certainly find time to do that outside the chambers because we just want to make sure that I'm also being thoughtful of something that Senator Rasmussen talked to me about as well. So, but we're excited, right, because this is an exciting bill. All right, any other words before we go to the vote? Seeing none, the secretary will take the roll on final passage of House File 717. Senator Rasmussen, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Draheim votes aye.
Senator Howell votes aye.
Senator Howell votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lang votes aye.
And Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Bowden, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report that Senator Frentz votes aye.
Senator Frentz votes aye. Members, please vote. Any additional voting? All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 55 ayes and 5 noes, the bill is passed and is titled agreed to. Members, we will take a recess and they can do whatever they like, and then we will appoint the conferees. Senator Disick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for a very brief recess for the purpose of appointing conference committees.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. All right, we're going to appoint conferees, and then we're going to come back in, and hopefully it won't take long. As a reminder, Senator Coleman invited you to come out afterwards, those who have purple on, so you can take the picture. The Senate will come back to order. Senator Disick.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this was Senator Tomassoni's favorite line. Is there a privileged report at the desk?
There is a privileged report at the desk. The secretary will read the report.
Senator Disick from the Subcommittee on Conference Committees recommends that the following senators be, and they hereby are, appointed as a conference committee on House File number 1938. Senators Rest, Klein, Dibble, Weber, and Hoschild. Senator Disick moves the foregoing appointments be approved.
Any discussion? To that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we will now move to the 13th order of business, announcements of Senate interest. Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session: Eichhorn, Farnsworth, Green, Miller, Westenberg all day, Nelson from 11:15 to the end, Westrom from 11:15 to 11:25. Any additional announcements? Senator Kunish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tomorrow is May 5th, and it's a very important day again, as it is the National Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Awareness Day. And I would like to invite all of you to join our Indigenous community out on the front lawn of our Capitol starting at 12 noon tomorrow. There will be an opening prayer and song and drum. There will be word from our Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Director, Juliette Rudy, and our Lieutenant Governor and others. So we would ask you all and invite you all to come out. If you remember, 2019, we passed national leading a creation of a Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's Task Force. Once that task force was completed, we created the first in the nation Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Office. And it was supported in both bodies. It was voted almost 100% in both bodies. And so we now have the legacy of those positive votes. And so I would ask you all to join us on a most beautiful day tomorrow, 12 o'clock, out on the front lawn of the state capitol.
Any additional announcements of Senate interest? Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today is National Day of Prayer, and at 12:30, all legislators are invited across the street in the Leif Erikson Park. There's already a crowd gathering out there to honor and recognize the National Day of Prayer, and they're inviting legislators at 12:30 to come, and they will be praying for you as well. And members, we've got people gathering in churches and community locations all over the state and the country today, and we have an opportunity to recognize that here on the Capitol grounds today as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional announcements of Senate interest? Senator Duckworth.
Thanks, Mr. President. Briefly, members, just a reminder, today is International Firefighters Day, so please, if you haven't already, take some time to thank any firefighters that may live in your district, as well as any local departments that obviously do their part to keep our communities safe. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any additional announcements of Senate interest? Seeing none, Senator Dezek.
Thank you, Mr. President. The DFL will caucus briefly immediately after session in room 303. And then, Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until Monday, May 8th at 11 a.m.
On that motion, any discussions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails and the Senate is now adjourned.